I'm Dr. Whipple, taking the opportunity to introduce the ACLU Oakland County, Michigan Summer Seminar Series to you. As you know, the National American Civil Liberties Union has organizations in all 50 states. Here in Michigan, we have the State Central Organization plus various local branches. The Oakland County branch of the American Civil Liberties Union presents the Civil Liberties Seminar Series during the summer. This is open to the public. This year, the event is being co-sponsored by the Social Justice Committee of the Birmingham Unitarian Universalist Church. The series begins Wednesday, June 24th, 2009 at 7:30 p.m. and will continue during successive weeks. The programs are presented in the Social Hall of the Birmingham Unitarian Universalist Church. This is located at 38651 Woodward Avenue, which is just north of Lone Pine Road. The purpose of these presentations is to inform the public about recent ACLU work in the state of Michigan. The 5 topics for our series are June 24th, Developing Education as a Civil Right. On July 1st, Privacy and Technology. On July 8th, we'll discuss voting rights. On July 15th, we'll discuss the Michigan worker. And lastly, on July 22nd, we'll discuss indigent defense. We hope you find these discussions informative. Thank you for watching. July 8th. Voting rights discussion. This program was led by Professor Jocelyn Benson of Wayne State University. She founded the Richard Austin Center on Election Law and Administration. Professor Benson is a member of the American Bar Association's Standing Committee on Election Law. She also is the author of Democracy and the Secretary, the critical role of Secretaries of State in promoting democracy. Professor Benson also helped develop the first nationwide election protection program for the Democratic National Party. She is a frequent local commentator on voting rights and election law on both TV and radio.
I want to welcome you here tonight on behalf of the Oakland ACLU. This is the third in our seminar series of the summer, and we're extremely pleased tonight to have as our discussion leader, our seminar leader, Professor Jocelyn Benson, who I was standing in front of partially on the stage. Let me move this. I'd like to introduce you to her now. Professor Benson graduated magna cum laude from Wesley College, where she founded the annual Women in American Political Activism Conference, and was the first student to be elected to the governing body of the town of Wellesley. She then earned her master's in sociology as a Marshall Scholar at Oxford, conducting research into the sociological implications of white supremacy and neo-Nazism. She received her JD from Harvard University Law School, where she was general editor of the Harvard Civil Rights and Civil Liberties Law Review. During her time at Harvard, Professor Benson also worked as the Voting Rights Policy Coordinator for the Harvard Civil Rights Project. After graduating from Harvard Law School, she served as law clerk to Judge Damon J. Keith on the United States Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit. Professor Benson is currently Assistant Professor of Law at Wayne State University Law School, where she founded the Richard Austin Center on Election Law and Administration, and is a member of the American Bar Association's Standing Committee on Election Law. Her forthcoming book, for sale, is entitled Democracy and the Secretary: The Crucial Role of State Secretaries of State in Promoting Democracy. This book will highlight the crucial role of the state's chief election administrator, the crucial role that the state elections administrator plays in the electoral process, and it illustrates how secretaries from the entire political spectrum are making significant contributions to promoting democracy. In 2004, she served as assistant to the National Field Director for the Kerry Edwards presidential campaign. Benson was also hired to help develop the first nationwide election protection program for the Democratic National Committee. Benson selected, recruited, and trained voter protection coordinators in 21 states. The program resulted in deployment of over 17,000 lawyers trained in election law and deployed at the polls. Since 2004, Benson has developed and supervised 2 statewide nonpartisan election protection efforts in Michigan. She's a frequent commentator on voting rights and election law on several local news and radio broadcasts. Professor Benson has also worked for the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund and as a legal assistant to Nina Totenberg at the National Public Radio and as an investigative journalist for the Southern Poverty Law Center in Montgomery, Alabama. We're extremely pleased to welcome you here tonight. Thank you very much. Good hand for Professor Benson.
Very thorough introduction. Let's see. I'm going to actually hold this a little bit further away. Is that better? Okay. All right, thank you. So thank you for having me here tonight. It's an honor to see many of you again and many of you for the first time. I teach election law, and as you heard, have this career around voting rights and election law. But I want to start, I want to have both a discussion and a Q&A, and talk about some of the issues in Michigan right now on voting, but really want to start by just communicating or talking about why voting is so important and why access to the vote really is something that I think should be at the top of all of our agendas for those of us who care about access. And in my view, those of us who are, let's say, advocates for civil liberties or civil rights, it's incumbent upon us. The reason why we are, or one of the reasons why I think we are advocates for civil liberties, civil rights, is because we believe not only in access and equal opportunity and equal access, but in some way we all have a responsibility to make sure everyone else has equal access and equal opportunity, because as we all know, if any of us or any amongst us don't have that access or have limited access, then we all are worse off for it. So from my standpoint, access to education, for example, is part of that. We need to make sure and fight for and study how we can have better access to education. But the reason why the vote is, education is not a fundamental right in our Constitution. The vote is. There are very few fundamental rights because of various different, I guess, legal interpretations from the Supreme Court, but also because I think of this legal recognition that if we don't have access to the vote, if we all don't have access to making decisions about who is governing this country, who is president, who's the dog catcher, who's the governor, then we really don't have access to anything at all, because access to education, healthcare, jobs, everything else, that all comes through the decision makers at the top, who we